Hi everybody, it's Cathie Allan back again, and I have a creative scrapbooker technique taster for you that I'm going to share with you. This is a scrapbook page that I've created from the base up. So yes, this was all white paper when it started, and I'm going to show you how to make this amazing background that is going to give you a terrific scrapbook page. Or, of course, you'll be able to take it and do it smaller and call it a card, whichever paper project is your jam. So what we're going to do, we could call this, when is a die cut not a die cut? So I'm just going to put this out of the way. And what I am using here is some beautiful dies and some stamps from Heartfelt Creations. Vining Sweet Pea is what it's called. This is an entire set. There's so much you could do with it. There's a classic floral vase. They have individual sweet peas that you can use their 3D sweet pea shaping mold. There's vases to this set. And this also pairs with the sweet pea die, and it's just a fabulous set that you can create beautiful cards and scrapbook pages and, of course, art journals with. I'm only using 2 of them today, and I kept it super simple because the people at Heartfelt Creations are amazing at doing 3D of flowers. You see them all the time, but I'm creating something a little bit more simple than that, so it's totally doable when you don't want to spend hours and hours 3D. So I'm going to put those away, and I'm going to use the die. A die is a stencil. Just look at your dies differently, and what you're going to do is you're going to grab your favorite applicator tool. In this case, I am choosing a blending brush for the simple reason I love foam tips, but I'm not going to use the foam tip because if I use the foam tip, it's going to catch on those metal die edges and we're going to tear the foam tip to shreds. So we are going to stick to our blending brushes, and we're going to be using, yes, my favorite, pigment ink. And there are so many reasons why I love pigment ink, but what I love about this is it will wash off my die cut. And the colors are going to blend together so they create new colors within each other because they're kind of like the oil paint of stamping medium. So it's what I also like to use when I'm making scrapbook pages because they're so fade resistant. I have got projects that I built 40 years ago and they look like I made them yesterday. So that being said, we're going to begin by grabbing our blending brush, and you're going to end up, I've got a full-size pad off to the side here, and I'm going to be picking up the color, and I'm going to start with the sand beige, and holding that down, I'm just going to swirl and apply this beautiful pigment ink using that die as a stencil. Flip the paper around. So flip the paper around. So easy to put that back in place. I just found this as I was doing this. This was the easiest way to go. And now add more color to the other side. Don't be afraid to go past the edges of your stencil. So now that we've applied enough of the background with the sand beige, I'm going to use the Celadon color and do the same thing. And because the Celadon color is darker than the sand beige, I'm not even going to clean off my stencil / die cut. So here we are. We have added all our Celadon. Maybe we'll add a couple later, but I'm going to be moving to the Old Rose color. So before I do that, just to keep my Old Rose blending tool clean, I'm just going to simply, you can take a wet cloth It doesn't have to be any special cloth, just water, because remember, pigment ink is non-toxic and it is water-based, so it cleans up beautifully just with water. So now I have loaded the Old Rose color into my blending brush. Look how dark that is. You know what that's telling me? It's telling me that maybe I want to offload a little bit off to the side. Remember, you can control the vibrancy of your colors from pigment ink simply by offloading onto your scrapbook scrap paper on the side. Now, you can go back into your project, your background, and randomly add a little more of the sand beige or the celadon as your creative heart wants to see. So there it is, our background, which of course makes a wonderful card background. And of course, on the 12 by 12, I'm just making it smaller here. So for time considerations, that is the same background that I used on this entire page. Notice that I chose colors that are in the photographs. This is one of the reasons why I love creating my own backgrounds, is I can custom color them to the photos that I'm going to use on the page. The next thing that I'm going to step out for you is the ribbon. This was a white ribbon. And how hard would it be to find the exact same color of the Old Rose that I used in the background? Pretty darn easy, because pigment ink is a beautiful way to change white ribbon into the color you want it to be. All you need to do is simply pick up your blending brush, some of your ink, and apply it to your ribbon. It stays flexible and soft, and it totally will match your project. And to set the color, you're simply going to take a hot, dry iron that has no water in it, so a hot, dry iron, put a piece of paper towel over top and iron it to set the ink. In this manner, you could have ribbons in any single color. How's that for getting a lot of traction out of your pigment ink? Now I wanted to add, of course, some of these beautiful sweet pea images, but I didn't want to spend a very long time coloring them, so I'm going to show you a very quick coloring technique. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ink the stamp with my VersaFine Instant Dry Pigment ink. And the reason why I choose this ink is because it will not bleed out on freshly altered surfaces. It's because it's an instant dry pigment ink. Hear that word pigment again? That means it's also light fast. Incredible ink to stamp these gorgeous images with for that crisp look that you like. Now I'm going to treat this image, pre-treat it before I add color, with some clear embossing ink. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm actually going to be adding a little bit of coloring on top afterwards. It creates almost like a skating rink on the paper, so I can blend products together that were normally did not have a long open time. I am changing the characteristics of the inks I'm going to use after this. So because this was very freshly stamped, I want it to be really, really dry. I'm going to take it to my hot, dry iron and give it a quick set. So here's my image that has been set with my hot dry iron, and I'm simply going to use my finger as an applicator to apply that clear embossing ink on top of my images before I add colors, just using my blending brushes. This is a very loose coloring technique, and it just speeds up the coloring of these intricate images that we have. So here is my my old rose blending brush, and I'm going to put some color there. And I'm going to put some color there. And I'm going to put some color here. Ta-da! Then I will grab my Celadon little blending brush, and I'm going to just waltz in some color where the leaves are and the stems are. This is very loose coloring. Sometimes with watercoloring, we go outside the lines. This is when we die cut this out, it's going to look absolutely spectacular. So we can add a little bit more color to those flowers. Notice where the colors join. They blend together so pretty. It's so easy to do. Now I am going to add just the detail, just some shading and things using one of my favorite markers. And just before I do it, I'm going to add a bit more of that clear embossing ink. So now we have like 3 layers of ink on there. And look at how it blends. The reason this is blending out so beautifully is because we have 3 layers of ink, and they're all sealing that paper, allowing me to add color and pull it, where normally this marker would set pretty quickly. In this way, you are using your clear embossing ink as an extender. So here I have added the shading on the petals, on the flowers, and now I'm going to address the petals and the leaves with my with a new color, of course. And before I do, I'm going to add that beautiful clear embossing ink, and it's going to allow me to pull and shade in one movement. Looks great, so easy. Ta-da! And now I'm going to use this die cut for its original purpose, which is to simply die cut this image out with my favorite die cutting machine. And now you can look at your die cuts in totally different eyes, giving you a coordinating background for your pages, and then using it as it was intended, as a die cut. I also simply cut one out in white. So when you layer these together, you can offset them so you have that nice white highlight. Some beautiful techniques for the card maker and scrapbooker. One is just smaller, and we folded it, and of course we're inside. It will probably be maybe a birthday card on the inside, or it can be for your favorite photos of your favorite people on either a 8x8 scrapbook page or a 12x12, or in your art journal, whatever paper crafting project is close to your heart. Hope you enjoyed the techniques, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.